Hey, basketball fans, welcome back to Tips and Streams, your go-to spot for the hottest NBA regular season predictions. I'm Kokan, and I'm here to break down today's matchups and give you the edge you need to make the best bets. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button and like this video. Your support means the world to us. Remember, our channel has no sponsors and relies solely on the love and support of viewers like you. Even a small donation by pressing the thanks button under the video helps us keep bringing you top-notch content every day. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and fellow basketball enthusiasts. And we love hearing from you, so drop a comment below and let us know what you want to see in our forecasts. Your feedback helps us improve and bring you the content you crave. Let's jump right into today's NBA predictions. We've got some exciting games lined up, so stay tuned and let's get that winning streak going. Today we have predictions for 6 NBA games. The first prediction for today is for a game between the Indiana Pacers and San Antonio Spurs. Man, what a wild scene we've got here with the Pacers and Spurs going at it again in Paris. That first game? Ugly. Indiana got absolutely smacked around, dropping a 140-110 decision, and honestly, it wasn't even close in the second half. The Pacers started strong, kept it competitive in the first half, but then it all fell apart. Letting San Antonio hang 80 points on them after halftime? That's just inexcusable. They couldn't stop a nosebleed, and it showed in every aspect of the game. Rebounding? They got outworked 57-31. Ball movement? The Spurs racked up a ridiculous 43 assists, like they were out there running a clinic. I've got to give credit where it's due, though. Wemby, man, what can you even say? The guy's a unicorn, plain and simple. Dropping 30 points, grabbing 11 boards, dishing out 6 assists, and swatting 5 shots. He did it all in front of his home crowd. You could tell playing in France meant something to him. And it wasn't just him, either. Vassell was knocking down shots, Chris Paul was orchestrating like the vet he is, and even the bench stepped up. The Spurs looked like a team on a mission, but I'm not sold they can replicate that level of efficiency 2 games in a row. As for the Pacers, they've got to show some pride after that performance. This team's been solid all season, and it's not like they've forgotten how to play. Before that Paris beatdown, they were 8-2 over their last 10 games, and their offense was humming. Tyrese Haliburton has to shake off whatever funk he's been in lately. Scoring 22 points combined in his last 2 games? That's not gonna cut it, especially when he's the engine of this squad. He needs to get back to setting the table for guys like Siakam, Mathurin, and Turner. When this team is rolling, they've got one of the most balanced offenses in the league, with 7 players averaging double figures. That depth is their ace in the hole. But let's not sugarcoat it. Indiana's defense has been suspect all year. They're near the bottom in points allowed, and it showed in that first game. They couldn't stop San Antonio from getting whatever they wanted. If they don't tighten up on that end, it won't matter how well they score. Turner and Siakam need to control the glass and protect the paint because Wemby was having his way down low. And if the Spurs start raining threes again like they did last game, it's going to be a long night for the Pacers. The Spurs, on the other hand, have been hit or miss all season. Sure, they looked unstoppable in that first game, but let's be real, they've only won 2 of their last 8 games. That kind of inconsistency is why they're sitting in the middle of the pack in the West. Yeah, Wembanyama is a cheat code, but the supporting cast needs to show up consistently. Vassell, Paul, and the rest of the squad need to bring it again if they want to take both games in Paris. I'll say this, I'm expecting a much better effort from Indiana this time around. Getting blown out by 30 is embarrassing, and good teams don't let that slide. The Pacers have the tools to bounce back, especially with how deep their roster is. And while San Antonio was lights out in the first game, shooting over 60% and hitting 18 threes, I don't see them replicating that kind of shooting performance. Logic says they cool off, and Indiana's defense has to step up, at least a little. If you ask me, this is a classic revenge spot. The Pacers are too talented to get punked like that twice in a row. I think Haliburton bounces back, the defense finds some energy, and Indiana gets the job done. I'm riding with the Pacers to take this one, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's by double digits. They've got something to prove, and I believe they'll show up in this rematch.
Welcome to BetUS, Sportsbook and Casino, your ultimate hub for secure and thrilling sports betting and casino gaming. BetUS is one of the oldest and most reliable online sportsbooks in the U.S., serving millions of clients all over the globe each month. BetUS, trusted for over 30 years, offers huge welcome bonuses, countless betting options, and many deposit and payout methods. Depositing funds is a breeze and safe with a minimum deposit of just $10. Payouts are fast and hassle-free, beginning at only $50. Choose from various payout options like MoneyGram, couriered check, cryptocurrency, or bank wire. Signing up is quick and easy. For signing up, you can use the link in the description and enjoy a generous 125% welcome bonus of up to $3,000. By signing up using the link in the description, you'll also support us as we earn a small commission from your registration at BetUS. Thank you for supporting us. Join now and start winning.
The second prediction for today is for a game between the Denver Nuggets and Minnesota Timberwolves. All right, let's talk about this matchup between the Denver Nuggets and Minnesota Timberwolves. Honestly, it feels like two teams heading in completely opposite directions right now. Denver is rolling, coming into this game with a ton of momentum. They've won 8 of their last 10 and are absolutely killing it, both at home and on the road. That's a big deal because the Nuggets historically haven't been known as a great road team, but this season, they flipped the script and are getting it done away from Ball Arena. That's what makes them scary. You can't talk about Denver without mentioning Nikola Jokic, who's just in another galaxy right now. I mean, a 30-point triple-double for the season so far? That's video game level stuff. He just logged his 5th straight triple-double, something we haven't seen since Wilt Chamberlain's time, and it feels like every time he steps on the court, he's controlling the game like a maestro. Add Jamal Murray finding his groove and Aaron Gordon doing his thing on both ends, and this team is downright lethal. Plus, Denver's shooters are lighting it up, hitting nearly 39% from deep, which is good for third in the league. When they're firing like that, how do you stop them? On the flip side, the Timberwolves feel like a mixed bag. Sure, they're coming off a gritty win over Dallas, but let's not ignore their home struggles. Their record against the spread at Target Center is just brutal, and they've earned their nickname as the House of Disappointment. It's tough to trust them, especially in big games like this. Anthony Edwards is supposed to be the guy, and while he's had a solid stretch lately, scoring 20 or more in 6 straight games, there's still the sense that he hasn't fully tapped into that killer instinct we saw in the playoffs. And now, with Karl Anthony Towns out and Edwards popping up on the injury report, things aren't looking great for Minnesota. The last time these two teams met, the Wolves managed to edge out the Nuggets, but it felt more like Denver beat themselves. They shot poorly, made too many mistakes, and just couldn't get over the hump despite dominating the boards and generating second-chance opportunities. That's not something you can count on happening again, especially with how locked in Denver has been lately. Jokic knows how to pick apart Minnesota's defense, and with the way Denver is clicking offensively, it's hard to see them slipping. For Minnesota, the key is going to be hitting their outside shots and finding a way to slow down Jokic. Easier said than done, right? Rudy Gobert is a defensive beast, but Jokic has had his number more often than not. The Wolves need guys like Jaden McDaniels and Naz Reid to step up and give Edwards some help, or this could get ugly fast. The problem is, Minnesota plays at one of the slowest paces in the league, and that's exactly what Denver wants. Jokic thrives in those situations, especially when he can push the ball after missed shots and find open teammates for easy buckets in transition. Look, I just don't see how Minnesota pulls this off. Denver is rolling, they've figured out how to win on the road, and Jokic is playing like an MVP on a mission. The Nuggets have too many weapons, and with their defense tightening up, they're not giving teams much room to breathe. I'm backing Denver to cover the 3.5-point spread. It's hard to bet against a team playing this well, especially against a Wolves squad that's been more frustrating than inspiring. Denver should control the pace, hit their shots, and walk out of Minnesota with another W. Before we move on, I have a quick favor to ask. If you're enjoying the content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Subscribing might seem like a small action, but it actually makes a big impact for us. Plus, it's completely free for you. Have you clicked that subscribe button? Awesome, thank you so much for your support. Now let's dive back into the video. The third prediction for today is for a game between the Boston Celtics and Dallas Mavericks. Alright, so we've got the Boston Celtics rolling into Dallas to take on the Mavericks, and honestly, this one's got a lot of layers to it. The Celtics are coming off a rough stretch on the road, and let's be real, they looked flat out bad against the Lakers. That 117-96 loss wasn't just a defeat, it was a wake-up call. Getting worked on the boards like that, 53 rebounds for LA, is just not what you expect from a team trying to defend their crown. But hey, bad nights happen, and if there's one thing about the Celtics squad, it's that they know how to bounce back. Tatum and Brown? Yeah, they're still the heart and soul of this team, but let's talk about Brown for a second. The guy's been in a bit of a funk lately, 19 points a game over his last 10, and shooting numbers that just don't look right for the reigning finals MVP. That's gotta change, and fast. On the flip side, Drew Holiday and Derek White have been stepping up big time. Holiday, in particular, has been a steadying presence on both ends of the floor. The guy's a dog on defense and can give you buckets when it matters. They've got the tools to turn things around, but consistency has been a little sketchy lately. Now, let's look at Dallas. They're coming off a surprising win against OKC, and I'll give them credit. Dinwiddie and Washington showed out. Dinwiddie dropping 28 and Washington putting up 22 points and 19 boards. That's the kind of effort you need when your star player's out. Speaking of stars, Luka is still on the sidelines, and that's a tough blow. The guy's their engine, their go-to, and without him, it's a lot of patchwork basketball. Add in injuries to Derek Lively, Klay Thompson, and others, and it's clear this team is just trying to stay afloat right now. But here's the thing about Dallas, they've been decent at home, and every now and then, they'll pull a win out of nowhere, even with half their rotation missing. Still, it's hard to trust a team when the injury report looks like a CVS receipt. They've got to dig deep to keep this one close, and while Dinwiddie and Kyrie can get hot, asking them to carry the load for 48 minutes against a team like Boston feels like a tall order. So, how's this one going to play out? For me, it's all about Boston coming in with a chip on their shoulder. That loss to the Lakers had to sting, and I expect them to use this game as a statement. They're the healthier team, and if they bring their A game, this shouldn't be close. Dallas might hang around early, especially if they're hitting their shots, but I think Boston's depth and talent will be too much in the second half. I'm rolling with the Celtics to cover here. When the opponent is missing key pieces like Luka and Lively, you've got to capitalize, and I'm confident Boston will do just that. Let's see if they can get their groove back on this road trip. The fourth prediction for today is for a game between the Houston Rockets and Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cleveland Cavaliers and Houston Rockets are squaring off again, and I've got to say, this one has all the makings of a bounce-back game for Cleveland. That last matchup between these two was a nail-biter, with Houston sneaking out a 109-108 win after Darius Garland missed 2 out of 3 free throws late in the game. You could feel the frustration from the Cavs, and now they've got their shot at revenge, this time on their home floor. Houston has been one of the feel-good stories of the season. They've turned things around in a big way, and under Ime Udoka, this team has taken a massive step forward. You can see the confidence growing with every game. Their rebounding is elite, no question. They completely controlled the glass last time out, and that's a big reason why they've been able to grind out wins against top-tier teams. Defensively, they're a nightmare to deal with, ranking as one of the best units in the league. And let's not overlook Alperen Sengun. This guy just keeps getting better. He's the heartbeat of this young squad, and his growth has been a huge part of why Houston is no longer a team to overlook. But this is where it gets tricky for Houston. Winning on the road is never easy, especially against a team like Cleveland that's been nearly unbeatable at home. Sure, the Rockets have a solid road record, but this game will test them in ways the last one didn't. Cleveland is going to come out with an edge, and I wouldn't be surprised if they play with some real anger after letting that last one slip away. The Cavaliers have hit a rough patch, no doubt about it. Losing 4 out of their last 7 games isn't what anyone expected, especially considering how dominant they've been all season. But let's not overreact here. This team is still one of the best in the league. They've got an offense that can light it up from anywhere, and when their defense is locked in, they're tough to crack. The big question for me is whether Evan Mobley will be back. His absence has been a major factor in their recent struggles. Without him anchoring the defense, they've looked a bit vulnerable. When he's out there, they're a top 10 defensive team, but without him, it's been a different story. Still, even without Mobley, the Cavs have the firepower to get the job done. Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland have been carrying the load offensively, and they're not the type to back down from a challenge. Garland, especially, will want to make up for those missed free throws that cost them the last game. I'm expecting him to play with a chip on his shoulder and really take control. This one comes down to adjustments. Cleveland will need to find a way to neutralize Houston's rebounding dominance and match their defensive intensity. But with the energy of their home crowd and the motivation to snap this losing streak, I think they'll come out swinging. The Rockets are no slouch, but I just don't see Cleveland dropping 2 in a row to the same team, especially not at home. They've got too much talent and too much pride to let that happen. This feels like a statement game for the Cavs, and I'm all in on them bouncing back in a big way. The fifth prediction for today is for a game between the Sacramento Kings and New York Knicks. The Sacramento Kings are rolling into Madison Square Garden for what promises to be a Saturday night thriller against the New York Knicks. There's always something special about games under the bright lights of MSG, and this one has all the ingredients for a classic. The Kings have been on a tear lately, winning 8 of their last 10 games, and while their defense hasn't exactly been locking teams down, their offense is electric. De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis are the backbone of the squad, and their chemistry is something to behold. Fox is slicing through defenses with his speed and decision-making, and Sabonis is just a monster in the paint, controlling the boards like it's second nature. Now, I know the Kings just took a tough L against Denver, but let's be real, that game was all about Jokic doing Jokic things. I mean, the guy had a stat line that looked like it came straight out of a video game. Even with that, the Kings showed fight, especially in the second half. They're not the type to just roll over, and that's what makes them dangerous heading into this matchup. The Knicks, on the other hand, are trying to keep their momentum going after back-to-back wins. They're sitting pretty in the 3rd seed in the East, and playing at home always seems to bring out their best. Jalen Brunson has been the engine for this team, and his one-on-one showdown with Fox is going to be worth the price of admission alone. Brunson's got that smooth, old-school game, but don't sleep on his ability to turn it up when the moment calls for it. And with guys like Randall and Barrett backing him up, the Knicks have the depth to cause problems for a team like Sacramento. That said, the Knicks haven't exactly been invincible at MSG lately. For losses in their last 7 home games show they're vulnerable, especially against teams that can push the pace like Sacramento. Plus, Josh Hart being questionable could hurt them on both ends of the floor. The Knicks rely on his hustle and defense, and without him, slowing down Sacramento's offense becomes an even tougher task. Now, let's talk about the Kings on the road. They've been one of the hottest teams in the league over the past couple of weeks, and they've already shown they can win without Fox if he ends up sitting this one out. They've got this next man up mentality, and with guys like Keegan Murray stepping up, they're not a team that's going to fold just because they're playing in a hostile environment. And MSG, as legendary as it is, doesn't intimidate them. If anything, the big stage seems to bring out the best in teams like the Kings. Everybody seems to think the Knicks have this one in the bag, but I'm not so sure. The Kings are in great shape right now, and while they're coming off a loss to Denver, that was a back-to-back situation against arguably the best team in the league. The Knicks aren't exactly at that level, and their inconsistency makes them a tricky team to trust. Don't get me wrong, I expect the Knicks to come out swinging, but I'm taking the Kings to cover the spread here. They've got too much firepower to be completely shut down, and if they can turn this into a fast-paced game, they've got a real shot at surprising everyone in the Garden. If you're looking for value, Sacramento is the way to go in this one. The 6th prediction for today is for a game between the Los Angeles Lakers and Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors and Los Angeles Lakers are gearing up for another showdown, and this one feels like it could get spicy. These two teams are no strangers to drama, especially after their nail-biter on Christmas Day. That game ended with Austin Reeves hitting a cold-blooded buzzer beater to steal the win for the Lakers, 115-113. Honestly, moments like that are what make this matchup so fun to watch. They've got history, they've got star power, and there's always something to prove. Now, let's talk about the Lakers for a second. They just took the Celtics to the woodshed with a commanding 117-96 win. It was the kind of game that shows what they're capable of when everything clicks. LeBron was doing LeBron things, leading the charge with 31 points and 10 dimes, while Reeves came through with a triple-double, proving he's way more than just a role player. The bench chipped in too. Hachimura was lights out from deep, Max Christie added some heat, and even Dalton Connect gave them a little boost. But let's not gloss over the fact that Anthony Davis left that game early with an injury. That's always the thing with the Lakers. It feels like they're constantly one injury away from disaster. On the flip side, the Warriors are still trying to figure themselves out. They're sitting at 500, which, let's be real, is not where they want to be. They've got Steph Curry carrying the load, and when I say carrying, I mean backpack full of bricks carrying. He dropped 38 points in that Christmas game, but even with Wiggins adding a double-double, it wasn't enough to get the dub. And with Kevin Looney out, things are looking a little shaky in the paint. They did manage to smack the Bulls around in their last game, but let's be honest, the Bulls aren't exactly a defensive powerhouse. This game is going to come down to a few key things. For the Lakers, they've got to control the pace and force the Warriors into a grinded-out half-court game. Transition defense will be huge because if you let the Warriors run, Curry's going to make you pay. LeBron and AD need to show up, no doubt about that, but it's the supporting cast that's going to make the difference. If Reeves, Hachimura, and the rest of the bench can step up, the Lakers will be in good shape. For the Warriors, this is a revenge game, plain and simple. They've got to come out swinging, and that starts with Curry setting the tone. If Steph gets hot early, the Chase Center crowd is going to go nuts, and that energy could be the boost they need. Wiggins and Kuminga will need to bring their A game too, because this can't be a one-man show. And man, they've got to cut down on the turnovers. You can't give a team like the Lakers extra possessions and expect to come out on top. So, where's my head at with this one? Honestly, I think the Warriors might have the edge here. The Lakers are great at home, but their road record? Not so much. Plus, Golden State plays with a different energy at home, and you know Curry is going to be locked in. I've got the Warriors covering the +2 spread. It's going to be tight, but I think Golden State gets it done. Just keep an eye on the injury report. Anything can happen between now and tip-off.